The Ashbringer, possibly the most known and legendary sword in World of Warcraft lore. Hello, my name is Andrew, and welcome to the first ever WoWTalk, where we cover a vast range of WoW topics. Today, we're going to be covering the Ashbringer. Here's some background information about this legendary weapon in World of Warcraft. The Ashbringer is the sword of former High Lord Mograine of the Scarlet Crusade. The blade was named after Mograine and his uncanny ability to smite the undead to nothing but a flurry of ash. Mograine was betrayed and murdered by his son Renault with the sword. Recently it has been discovered that Mograine was reincarnated as a Death Knight by the witch Kel'Thuzad, and he still possesses Ashbringer, although it has been defiled by his murder and transformed into corrupted Ashbringer. However, you might ask, who is Kel'Thuzad? Kel'Thuzad is the final boss of Naxxramas, a Wrath of the Lich King dungeon who holds many precious drops. Not all that much to the guy, he's just a Death Knight and he revived Mograine, right? No. He himself took a very deep interest in the sword Ashbringer, which is believed to be the reason why he resurrected Mograine. Now, if you've played a Death Knight, you know who Mograine is, but some may not. Alright, on to our next topic, the corrupted Ashbringer. You may know people with it to this day. Maybe they have it transmogrified onto their current weapon. This sword is what is left of the original Ashbringer, corrupted after Mograine's death as he was turned into a Death Knight. Although it has higher stats than the original Ashbringer in-game, it is believed not to be as powerful within the lore, being tainted and all that. Next, into the urban legends, so to speak, of the legendary sword. The first mention of Ashbringer by an NPC in-game was by Caretaker Alan in the Eastern Plaguelands. Caretaker Alan was a little unique and said a host of random things to players who took a moment to chat with him, including the What Bringer? Oh, Ashbringer? Never heard of it. What? Stop bothering me. The mention of the item created a flurry of speculation on the actual existence of the legendary sword in-game and how it could be obtained. However, after that was pretty much it. Then, in patch 1.30, players were introduced to a new dungeon called Dire Maul. This dungeon introduced the Shendralar, a neutral faction of Highborn who had made their home in the ruins of Dire Maul. The Shendralar were led by Prince Torthildrin, but more importantly, in the library in which the Shendralar had made their home included zealots who had some interesting news for players. Has the prince recanted the tale of the Ashbringer? It is our most favorite of his stories. His favorite is the follow-up to the Ashbringer. Of course, nobody's ever been able to get that story out of him. The Master holds great interest in the lair of Nefarian. If only someone would defeat the dragon and his minions and retell the tale to the prince, I bet that would loosen the prince's lips. The Ashbringer could be found. Then, suddenly, interest in the sword resurged. Although Blackwing Lair had not been implemented yet, players could already turn in Anoxia's head for valuable quest rewards. Perhaps the head of Nefarian would give some sort of clue as to Ashbringer's location when he turned in to the prince. Later, in patch 1.5, battlegrounds were introduced. In Alterac Valley, players could loot dead players for random items required to summon ancient creatures that would defend their side. Other items would sometimes drop as well, including Nat Pagel's Guide to Extreme Angling, a book written by the fishing trainer Nat Pagel and Dustwall Marsh. The flavor text reads, "This book is missing every page but the last." As far as that last page goes, it read, "And so, that's where you'll find the legendary sword of the Scald High Lord Ashbringer. Ain't it amazing what you run into in an ordinary day of fishing?" Then players started fishing in random spots, hoping to bring up the legendary Ashbringer and all that good stuff. Once more, the flurry of speculation arose, this time accompanied by fishing galore. As players assumed that the Ashbringer was probably fished up somewhere in the Plaguelands, this was proven by players with the fact that a thoroughly read copy of Nat Pagel's Extreme Angling dropped in Dire Maul. This book wasn't a readable item, but surely if it mentioned the Ashbringer and Dire Maul mentioned the Ashbringer, then Nat Pagel knew what he was talking about and the sword must be in a lake. Yet after time, players were again left with nothing to suggest that the item actually existed. But with the introduction of patch 1.6 and the implementation of Blackwing Lair, suddenly it was possible to obtain the head of Nefarian. Players that were successful in killing the dragon took the head to Prince Torthildrin, and Nothing happened. No notes, no quests, no clues to where the sword actually was. This did not stop speculation on the sword's existence, and players worked feverishly on several theories, one of which involved two NPCs in the Western Plaguelands, both with fairly similar stories. The first was Bardu Sharpeye, a Tauren who made his home at the bulwark that bordered Tirisfal Glades in the Western Plaguelands. Hello. I've set up camp here at the bulwark to make my preparations for my journey into the Plaguelands. I've heard a rumor that a great human wizard took up residency in Hearthglen not terribly long ago. He was commissioned by the Scarlet Crusade to fashion their warriors hunters with bows and guns. It's said that he completed a remarkable weapon before the Crusade killed him. I guess the mistrust of the arcane has grown. The other NPC was a dwarf named Alexia Ironknife, found at Chillwind Camp in the southern region of Western Plaguelands. Like Bardu, she offered no quests or services, but her story was oddly similar to the Taurens. Greetings! Don't have too much time to talk. I'm just using Chillwind as a camp to get some rest before heading to Hearthglen. I've heard word before they went crazy, the Scarlet Crusade had a mage working for them who was trying to create powerful bows and guns for the soldiers. I'm not sure if he succeeded or not. The Crusade killed him before any of his finished product made it out. Maybe they killed him to keep it a secret, or maybe they distrust the arcane that much. Players attempted to put two and two together and came up with what they thought was four. Ashbringer existed. It was created by a mage who had been killed by the Scarlet Crusade for some unknown reason, and the secret of the sword lay dead with the mage, wherever he was. Around this time, that players pointed out a curious item that dropped in the Western Plaguelands called Timoleon's Phylactery, which dropped off a large vile slime in the Weeping Cave of the Western Plaguelands. However, this slime was curious. It had a mana bar, and it also had the following spells: Arcane Bolt, Arcane Explosion, and Crimson Fury. Mage attacks: Crimson Fury, Scarlet Crusade. Players leaped to the next logical conclusion. Timoleon was the mage referenced by the NPCs, and somehow he died, perhaps at the hands of the Scarlet Crusade, and then raised by a necromancer such as a witch. A necromancer like, say, Kel'Thuzad? Yes, the person who revived Mograine. It all makes sense now. Well, sort of, yes. Timoleon's Phylactery was unique and BOP. It didn't start any quests or give any flavor to indicate exactly what it was for. Perhaps you had to take it to the Prince in Diremaul or to Nat Pagal. Unfortunately, all speculation halted with the release of patch 1.7, as Timoleon's Phylactery was removed from the game. Players continued to search, unwilling to believe that the item that had been referenced and hinted at for so long simply didn't exist. Eventually, a European GM admitted that the weapon was not in-game, but this admission was followed by a confirmation by Ionix. It's true that currently Ashbringer is not in the game, although one day in the future it will be, but not until there is an awesome, legendary item for casters. It wasn't long, however, before players once again let their minds linger over thoughts of the legendary blade. Thanks for watching, drop a like and subscribe, and the second will be out soon. Have a good one.